Have you ever decided to play Minecraft Hardcore? Well, I have, and failed quite so miserably. So I chose to play on hard, but as you can already quite tell with the title and the thumbnail, with a twist. I have Cobblemon installed, along with plenty of other supporting mods to sort of enhance the experience. So to get started with the rules of the run, as it is not hardcore, I can respawn. However, if I do die, I lose a Pokemon from my party. Then if I die 6 times or lose everything, the game is over. So I decided to start in a delightful tundra biome, lobbed the pointless book, chose Cyndaquil, and immediately decided to get some apricorns, luckily getting a seed on my first attempt, which was nice. Then named Cyndaquil Starlord, harvested plenty of wild potatoes, then I made a wooden pickaxe to start my journey. Begin the same way most do, getting stone, turning them into tools. After that, getting some delicious beef and leather, which as you'll see I'll need in the future. Then finding a notoriously fast wild chicken. Now, as you can sort of see, the chicken is quite small, and that is because I have a variance size mod installed. Then finding another portal, I decided to head on my way. But I decided to have my first battle with a wild Petalil. Now I was slightly underleveled, but I wasn't that worried because I did have the type advantage. Then I found and mined some sunstones, hit a very fast cow, then decided to use that leather to make a traveller's backpack. Killing a comb bee and finding some mint on the way, getting a dawnstone and almost freezing to death in, I'm pretty sure, Minecraft's most useless feature. After that, I discovered some sort of ruin filled with many wondrous treasures such as copper, string, and that name tag. After killing a couple of creepers, as you can see, the backpack is very important. Finding some wild carrots, followed by another battle now with a ladybird, allowing my precious little Starlord to evolve into a Quilava. After some distance traveling, I found something that was called a safe haven. It was pretty dull. It was just a house. There was some hay. That was pretty much it. But then I decided to make some quick balls and some blue Pokeballs. Using the gold I'd found earlier, I decided to make them. And finding a wild Eevee, which I caught on my first try with a delightful quick ball, the run was finally beginning. After discovering my first village, I decided to do what most sane people would do, is loot it. And coincidentally, in that village there was a Poke Center, which among many useful things there was a healing station and other Cobblemon sort of stuff like seeds and aurum berries and EXP candies. Next, I got a waystone and decided to head out of town. Now for the rules of the encounters, I decided to do it like this. So for the encounters, what I decided was when I enter a new biome, it will not be the first Pokemon I see because there will be some sort of bias inevitably because of the map I've got installed. So I decided to say as soon as I enter a biome, the Pokemon that spawn immediately in that first little area in that new biome, I get to choose from those. No rerolls, no second chances. Catching this Pichu, I discovered it was too fat and I couldn't get it on my shoulder. Well, chonky, sorry. So I just kept it out of the Pokeball so she could increase her happiness. After getting that, I found a wild Krabby, calling him Clipper. Along with Percy and Leonard, I also found a wild Lapras, and upon catching it, I did discover you could ride it, which unlocked a whole new possibility I forgot I'd had installed. Doing that, I caught a Natu, named it Natu, caught a Lotad, an Alolan Cubone, and coincidentally I found a wild Grookey and caught that as well. And then I discovered another abandoned nether portal. Luckily there was obsidian in the chest, and as for some obscure reason I decided to go deeper and enter the nether, which, as you will see coming up, what wasn't my brightest idea. But I started by placing a waystone down so I wouldn't get lost, so I could at least find my way back to the portal if it did go wrong, which you'll see shortly. After which there was a fortress nearby and heading there to find a blaze spawner. So I didn't have to come back and do this again. Which, as it turns out, was not a brilliant idea. After killing some blazes, getting some blaze rods, quickly getting overwhelmed by the amount that was spawning, it started to go pretty terribly. I got caught on fire, and then the inevitable happened. So I had to create a temporary waypoint, get back on the back of my Lapras, and travelled all the way back to that nether portal to get my stuff. Travelling thousands of blocks, I made it back to the portal, and thankfully, again, my stuff was still there, but I didn't really learn from the first time, and well, yeah, I died again. So, after heading back again, killing blazes again, and, well, dying again, I went back and tried and failed again. So, you get the whole thing. And in that entire ordeal, and for some pointless reason, I did end up dying 5 times. So, after doing that, I made a PC and deposited my dead Pokemon in box 30 so I can have a memory of how I went so badly. And then after that, I took out my new team members. All that was left was Star-Lord of the Quilava. Then, as it seems, Lotad was ready to evolve, so I had a new Lombre. Then I chose to head off into the night, not knowing that was how the Cubone would evolve. So now I had an Alolan Marowak. That morning, I saw a pretty big looking pillager mansion, which I decided was not a good idea. After then fighting and catching another Krabby, evolving it pretty quickly into Kingler as it was the right level, I stumbled across a teeny tiny ducklet, named it Dylan, and then decided to catch this random ladybird I found on the way. Now, on my new home island, placing down the waystone, calling it Field Island. I didn't really know what to call it at that point. Placing chests and doing some quick terraforming. Also, knowing I didn't have many different materials as I hadn't really gone on much mining or chopping expeditions, I had to go back into the nether and then back out to go and get some different woods, as I was living on an island and it was pretty far from sort of civilization. So these waypoints and portals were going to be pretty useful. After getting ambushed by a pretty soggy skeleton, finding a jungle tree, and getting some paler wood types, luckily I was able to get a snow blossom sapling. Then on my way back to the portal, I did found a shipwreck with the all-important Pokérod smithing template. So now I could catch some cool designed Magikarps. After heading back into the nether to go back home, a magma cube decided to ambush me, so I decided not. Back home, I started cutting down trees for different types of wood, and then finally started to build my new house. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, a shiny Gossifleur spawned on the island, and I had to go and catch it. And if you do know Nuzlocke shiny claws, it means that no matter what the encounter is, I do have myself permission to catch it, because it is shiny, and it's rare. So, upon going and diving through my chests, making some Pokeballs, I did end up discovering where it was hiding. So, after catching the shiny, it could already evolve. So I went from a shiny Gossifleur to a shiny Eldegoss in seconds. Again, chopping more wood and building the rest of the house. Now, for what I'd like to accomplish for this series in a whole, well, the number of things I would love to do is pretty minimal. I would love to try and complete the Pokédex, even though technically it isn't possible yet because they've not added all the Pokemon in. But I want to try and get all of them and scan them all. I won't be able to catch them all because that would be very, very difficult. But I want to at least try and scan them all. Anyway, still building the house, and with a nature sort of theme on the roof, I decided to put some dirt up there and some trees I thought might look kind of cool. And then it happened again. The tree cutting mod. Although it is very useful for cutting trees down, when you're building a house out of logs, it does go wrong. Making some paths, planting some apricorn seeds, I went on an expedition. Found some revival leaks, got some pillagers, went and caught an emolga, then a Machop, then finding some thermal calcite, thinking it looked quite nice. I'll mine some of that and I might build my own little natural sauna. Battled and caught a Barnacle, a Baneri, then finding a spooky igloo with a dodgy healing basement. I did discover my first Pokédoll, a Calyrex Pokédoll, which I will be trying to collect all of them, and that is another goal for the series, to collect all of the Pokédolls. Deciding to leave the strange individuals in the basement, I went off and caught a Mareep, Carablast, and a Slowpoke. Getting some more copper, as it actually has a use in this game for the Pokeballs. Only to get all excited when I found, in a new biome, completely legitimately, a Squirtle. However, as these sort of things go, I did only have one Pokeball left. It was a quick ball, however, and I did feel lucky, but it failed. So I was determined to catch the Squirtle. So I rummaged through my inventory and my backpack to luckily find the materials to make some dive balls, which do have a 3.5 times multiplier on Pokemon that are fully submerged in water. So, giving it a go, caught it on my first dive ball. Following that, I caught a Patrat, Wooloo, and another Emolga. Stumbling across a floating island on my journey, I did find another Pokédoll, a Riolu one, but not much else was up there. After failing to catch an Onix, I decided to treat myself a little bit and evolved Dylan, my beloved swan, into a tiny Swanna. Upon finding myself in a new type of icy biome, boating around at ridiculous speeds, I heard that oh so delightful jingle of a shiny. And, of all the shinies, a shiny Swinub. One of the coolest looking shinies because it is so different. One so small, it hid under layers of snow. Trying my best to prevent it from running away, I did try and trap it in a hole. However, discovering at the time, I didn't have any wood to make a crafting table to then make some Pokeballs. However, as you can clearly see, when I was editing this video, I had 25 logs on me, which somehow I missed. I didn't see them, and in a panic, I decided to run off and try and cut a tree down, to make a craft table, to come back and make some Pokeballs, only to discover the tiny little green pig-nosed creature had gone. Thus being my first shiny loss. Finally, to a semi-finished house, here are the encounters that I had. Creating a new team of 6, I'm ready to go forth and avenge my shiny Swinub.